top 5 best Super Bowl performances of all time. Usher did his thing in his last Super Bowl. But I want to tap in on this image right here because a lot of folks are saying, hey, check in with Swizz Beats, make sure he's doing okay. Because, Usher is known for causing controversy in relationships. And we've seen it evident by Keke Palmer and what happened with that situation. But I wanted to break down from a licensed therapist perspective as to why we should not check in on Swizz Beats. You guys sit back, relax, and we're going to talk about it right now. So this image right here has been floating around the internet, particularly on Men's Explorer page. Hey, check in with Swizz Beats, make sure he's okay, because Usher, had a little intimate moment. It looked like what from this image right here, it looks like a more intimate moment with Alicia Keys, right? So one of the things I wanted to point out, especially when we talk about men's mental health, is insecurity in relationships. Insecurity is huge and the downfall in a lot of relationships. I feel like particularly with men, we tend to have these insecure thoughts around, who our woman's with, who our woman's talking to, should they have guy friends and all that other stuff, right? Now, clearly, this is more of a professional role. Like this is more of a, okay, we're having fun, we're doing a performance, we're doing, you know, Usher's hugging on Alicia Keys. They have the song "My Boo," which is a great song and all that stuff, right? Um, but I feel as if Swizz Beats, me personally, I feel like Swizz Beats is strong enough to handle this. Like this is a money move. This is Alicia Keys. Like you don't do this, we're gonna bring the money back home. You know what I mean? Do this and bring the money back home, right? Um, but this is acting, this is entertainment, right? Now we talk more so from a realistic standpoint. Can men deal with like, if your girl was like, hey, I'm about to do this performance. She's an upcoming maybe artist or maybe she's an actor. I need to do the scene with another guy hugging me, or I need to do another scene with kissing another guy and all this other stuff, right? Would you feel okay with that, right? Um, what it really boils down to isn't about what other people say in the relationship or what other people think. Like again, like this whole thing, like, hey, check in with Swizz Beats, make sure he's okay, because Keke Palmer and her guy had issues after Keke Palmer went to the Usher concert in Vegas a little time ago. So it really comes down to a conversation you have prior to, right? Many a times men, we compare our relationships to other people and we're too worried about what other people think as opposed to like what you really feel, right? In moments like this, right, there has to be a conversation around whether or not you guys are okay and you guys are both comfortable with, you know, having actual intimate moments, or like what it seems to be intimate moments, because this doesn't seem like it seems like intimate moment because it's a picture, but that's not intimacy. You feel me? Like if really know what intimacy is, it's not that, right? So when we talk about checking in and all this other stuff with Swizz Beats, I'm pretty sure like it probably wasn't like specifically for Super Bowl, or maybe it was, right? They have to have a mutual understanding of the do's don'ts, what they're willing to tolerate, not tolerate, and what's their boundaries in the relationship. You know what I mean? By looking at this picture, yeah, the average relationship, I would say average unhealthy relationship would look at this like, yeah, I'll never let my girl do this because you know what? I'm not about to get, I'm not about to get played. You know what I mean? Like I'm not about to lose my girl to Usher, like Riley said. You know what I mean? And the Boondocks. But it comes down to having an honest conversation. Like you have to communicate in relationship. You have to communicate. If you don't communicate this, and say for example, like you're dating a girl and she just goes off and she does this performance, and you're like, hey, we didn't even talk about like doing all this, right? It wasn't a conversation that was um that was prompted prior to, right? And the biggest issue with many men and us ended up being in unhealthy relationships or get into arguments and things of that nature is because we don't express our needs. We don't express what we're comfortable with, what we're not comfortable with. We don't really know how to articulate or really say what we feel. Sometimes that leaves a room for opportunity for, something like an image like this for somebody to come through and be like, hey, you let your girl do that? You know what I mean? Like you let your girl like, be with Usher hugged up, or you let your girl be hugged up with another man, especially if they're upcoming artist, entertainer, maybe, actor, whatever it is. They may have a movie scene or a role, whatever it is, right? Um, yeah, that 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 leaves a huge opportunity for interpretation, right? Especially if you're not really solid in, how you really feel about the situation, right? I'm pretty sure, if you are with somebody, if Alicia Keys or Swizz Beats was like, hey, like, nah, like, don't be, doing all that. I mean, Alicia Keys probably would have stood her ground, like, no, this was gonna happen, blah, 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 whatever. She may have stood her ground and like they may have talked about it or whatever and came to that agreement. But I'm pretty sure if this made Swizz Beats so uncomfortable, Alicia Keys probably would have reconsidered like what, you know, what this image is portraying, I guess you could say. So I think one thing to consider, especially when we're talking about, men's mental health, we're talking about, women, jealousy, insecurity. If you're not secure in your relationships, image like this will bother you. You know what I mean? Like an image like that will bother you. If you're not communicating in your relationship, something like this may bother you. You know what I mean? Um, you have to be firm in like what you feel, what you believe. You have to be firm in what you think, how you feel. You have to be firm in, in all that. And when we're talking about like men being in healthy relationships, because again, if you don't communicate, you never know, right? The other part of this, the caveat, and I always give like this disclaimer of what maybe another possible outcome may have happened is, you know, Usher is known for doing things unpromptedly, right? I'm taking into a context that this is a Super Bowl. This was rehearsed. This was like planned, the moves, all that stuff. Him being on the skates, off the skates, and all that stuff. This was all prompted, and this was all like rehearsed, right? But if you guys ever seen Usher's residency shows in Vegas, he usually picks somebody random from the crowd and like starts dancing, right? Now, was this one of those things where okay, maybe Usher, you know, saw a moment and just started dancing, they started vibing together? Maybe so, right? Because Usher is, that's not unlike Usher, I should say. He will, he's here to have a good time, prompted or unprompted. You know what I mean? But if we're having the thought of like, okay, well, Alicia Keys went back, after the show, hooked up with Usher and blah blah blah, cheating on Swizz Beats and all that stuff. That's coming from a mindset of like, insecurity, projection as well. If you guys don't know what projection, is usually when you're going through something and you project your issues, your insecurities on other people, right? So a lot of men, be mindful, be really mindful, fellas. If you are, saying like, "Oh, check in with Swizz Beats and all this other stuff," and your relationship is kind of on the rocks and it's kind of rocky, it's probably best not to focus on this and probably focus on what's going on in your own home. You feel me? Because this can be triggering to you, and now you're looking at this and you're looking at your girl and you like, hey, you can't have no guy friends. You probably start making up rules. You know what I mean? Like, that's where the insecurity will come in and creep in. You feel me? So, fellas, you want to be mindful about, your own insecurities. You want to be mindful about when you're projecting. You want to be mindful about how you feel about situations, particularly, something like this. Because at the end of the day, you know what I mean? Like, if you're really secure in relationships, and I'm confident, and I would say, if I'm a betting man, I would bet that, Swiss Beats is confident in, their relationship and situation. So I don't really see it as like an issue. You know what I mean? But it's a brief moment. This picture stands alone, and it seems like okay, well they're together, things of that nature. But Fellas, um have a it really does boil down to like you being more secure in your relationships, you being comfortable having conversations, expressing your needs, your boundaries, what you're willing to tolerate and not tolerate, and you guys come to a mutual understanding and respect on the do's and don'ts in your relationship. You can't take this situation, you can't take Kiki Palmer situation, you can't think there's an Usher out there to destroy your relationship all the time. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be Usher. It could be, that man at work. It can be her guy friend. It can be somebody else. It could be anybody that you feel as a threat to your relationship. You know what I mean? But when you're securing your relationship, this isn't a threat. It's just not a threat. You know what I mean? It's not possibly a threat. So I want you guys to, fellas, we don't have to check in with Swizz Beats. I'm pretty sure he's fine. I'm pretty sure, I'm pretty sure they cool with that little, you know what I mean, that halftime Super Bowl check. So, do what you gotta do, baby, but bring the money back. You know what I mean? Because we're gonna spend it, we're gonna have a good time, we're gonna take care of our family, we're gonna take care of our kids. And you guys do what you gotta do. You know what I mean? But I appreciate y'all tapping in. I appreciate y'all, rocking with me and your perspective. I want to hear from you guys in the comments. What are your guys' thoughts about all this? Because it is one of those things where, hey, it can cause controversy in some relationships that's not secure. I appreciate y'all tapping in. Until next time, Terrence Stewart. Y'all take care. Peace.